Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting that like button, and giving a donation if you enjoyed the video. Now look, Al Haymon seems to be befuddled. Errol Spence has to figure out his next move, man. You take a look at what he's having to deal with, what Al Haymon is having to deal with. In my opinion, it seems that maybe they kind of don't quite have control of Errol Spence's situation the way they were hoping to have control. And those belts that Errol Spence worked hard to attain, not giving him the leverage I think he expected. Now, I got to be honest with you. When you see a guy get 3 belts, you would think that a fighter who is hungry and wants to get in that position, right, that's going to create some promise in him to want to make whatever changes are necessary to get themselves in position to fight for those titles. It doesn't matter what it interferes with in their personal life, professional life, whatever it takes to get out there and compete so they can also become or get an opportunity to become a unified champion. Now, when you look at what happened here with Spence and Crawford, those belts weren't enough to make Crawford say, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to allow y'all to dictate things to me. Crawford is a narcissist's worst nightmare because Crawford marches to the beat of his own drum. Crawford's not worried about impressing anyone. Crawford doesn't seem like he feels a sense of entitlement. He doesn't seem to get frustrated when he's not getting the attention. He doesn't seem to care about anything. And that is a problem when you're trying to make a deal with someone who sees himself in that way and sees others and doesn't see others as superior to him. I used to always say, how do you control a man or a woman, right, who's not afraid, of God and not afraid of the police? Most people will think twice before they do something if they have, they come from a religious background. And then those who don't, most of the time they'll think twice about doing something because they don't want to go to the joint. But how do you control someone who doesn't fear God or going to jail? You can't. And Crawford is cut from that kind of cloth. This man does not fear losing out on 20, 30, 40 million. He does not fear losing out on becoming the undisputed champion. But that's creating huge problems because although he doesn't fear that, he's not worried about that, he still wants to have a successful career. Now remember, his definition of success is his definition. Now I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand. Errol Spence's definition of success is his definition. And I'm not saying I agree with him, but I understand. But one thing I do know is Errol Spence right now, he's miserable, man. And what I notice is there's a lot of finger pointing at Bud, at Spence. But I want to try to understand what exactly is going on over there, or what was going on with Spence and his team for them not to make sure the undisputed distinction was delivered to Errol Spence. We understand Crawford walked away. Don't just hang on to that one sentence, okay? I'm telling you, I understand Crawford walked away. But if a fight, right, if two fighters and their teams truly want a fight to be made, they're not going to let it slip out of their hands. They're not going to have all these all this fallout where people are complaining about transparency, etc., etc. You understand? There's no more wrong side of the street talk, right? We're looking at Crawford and saying, hey, you chose to sign with Top Rank a second time, knowing that there was the side of the street stuff going on. PBC fighters won't fight, or he wasn't getting to fight with the PBC fighters. You chose to sign over there. Well, Bob Arum came out, aired your dirty laundry. You guys had a fallout. You broke away from him. Now, my thing is this. Okay, true. Everything, all of that's true about Crawford. He got away from Top Rank. Now, we could say maybe Errol Spence and his team, maybe they didn't want the fight as bad as Terrence Crawford because Crawford's floating around. Why didn't you guys make sure you seal the deal? Now, for those of you who are saying, well, look, Al Heyman offered him a multi-fight deal. He would have had, a couple big names. He would have made more money than he ever made, or that he could make in 3 fights, 4 fights, anywhere else. To that, I say this. The deal wasn't good enough because Crawford didn't sign. Now, if you want to get a deal done, you don't sit there and let a guy like Terrence Crawford, who if he's as slow and he lacks business savvy, as everyone is saying, right? How in the world does a guy like Al Heyman allow Terrence Crawford to slip through his fingers and to get him to get out of the room that he has him in? My thing is, say Al Heyman is a smooth talker. Even Crawford said that. But I tell you what, if Eddie Hearn would have got him in a room, Eddie Hearn would have got the deal done. Because Eddie Hearn wouldn't have played no games about money or nothing like that. You look at what Eddie Hearn did with Anthony Joshua and that guy, Charles Martin. He didn't play games. He was like, I don't have time to go back and forth. I'm going to make the deal so sweet that we get the fight done. Overpaid him. We got the fight done. We picked up the title. Get out of here. Boom. Here's the boot. My thing is with Al Heyman, Errol Spence, that whole team, why not make the deal so sweet to where Crawford couldn't walk away from the deal? Why you have the man sitting here, according to him now, frustrated, not much transparency, no guarantee. Why all the BS? So if we look at it like that, we could take the blame and throw it right back on Errol Spence and his whole team and Al Heyman and everybody over there. Let me tell you something, man. When you sit here and take a look at boxing and fights and championship fights, man, you always hear fighters say, if the fighters want it, the fight gets made. Now, I truly believe that. And I definitely feel that in this case, I think there's some culpability on both ends. And I think Errol Spence wants to fight. Well, I'll say he wanted to fight. I think he still wants it. But I still think there's a little sliver of uncertainty there with taking a fight with Crawford. I think Crawford wanted to fight, and I think he still wants it. And I think there's a little sliver of uncertainty there as well. I think trust is a big issue as well. I think trust is a huge problem. But it comes back to what I was saying. Al Heyman, you got Steven Espinoza. You have the damn Super Bowl coming up, and then you can't make the damn deal. Now you look at the situation that they're in. How in the world can Errol Spence, okay, so let's forget about Terrence Crawford, right? That ship sailed, in my opinion. Now you look at this, right? You say you wanted the Crawford fight. You can blame Crawford all you want. Y'all didn't get the deal done. Just like we could say Crawford didn't get the deal done, Spence and his team didn't get the deal done. But then you come now for a fight you say you don't want, a deal gets done for Keith Thurman. Y'all help me understand that one. Okay? The fight you say you wanted, you didn't get the deal done. The fight you don't want, you get the deal done. Now, yeah, it's all quirky as far as this 154 weight category, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how in the world did that get done? Well, they're all PBC fighters, etc. Keith Thurman gave up the WBC belt. He never lost it. Blah, blah, blah. No doubt about that. But if we're going to sit here and be okay with them making a fight that, especially when Spence was adamant to not fight Keith Thurman, right? If we're going to sit here and say that's okay, then we should say Terrence Crawford being allowed to walk away from that fight because he felt like time was being wasted. He wasn't getting treated with the respect he deserved. The transparency wasn't there. So he chose to take the fight with BLK Prime. Then we should say, well, that was wrong on PBC and the whole Spence team. Now, don't get me wrong now. I know all the specifics about Crawford. I know all the specifics. But this isn't, I'm not doing that kind of video. You guys go watch my other videos where you see where I've talked about things. You'll see what I'm doing now is playing devil's advocate. So for me going forward, right, Spence needs to figure out what to do next. Now you got the thing where him and his buddy, Jamel, it's been mentioned before, the possibility of fighting. Well, Spence is in a pretty precarious situation. He can't just bubble up and fight Jamel the way he wants to. Like that is not something that he can just go and do. Because I know Errol Spence from just reading some of the posts he puts out. He doesn't say much. But I am sure when you listen to what he's been saying the last couple of years, man down, strap season, right? He finally gets all the straps. Wants to be undisputed at 147. You're trying to tell me that he doesn't feel conflicted right now? All that work he put in to possibly drop the belts and go up to 154? Because I'm telling you right now, Crawford has a direct line to Jermell Charlo. And Errol Spence does not. Now, this is what makes it even more interesting. If Crawford decides he wants to go up and fight Jermell and challenge him for that WBO title at 154, we know Jermell is having, the little issues with his hand or whatever he hurt, right? What could happen is you can see Crawford get approved to go up and challenge and end up fighting the winner of Harrison Zhu. And then the winner of Crawford and whoever wins out of Harrison and Zhu could go on and fight Jermell for undisputed. And let me tell you, that could happen pretty quickly. So all I'm saying is Errol Spence needs some help to figure out what the hell he got going on. Because when I just sit here and we do hypotheticals, it's not so easy to put together a hypothetical about Errol Spence and what he's going to do. This man has all those titles. It's like they say, more money, more problems, more titles, more problems. And I know he's conflicted. He didn't say that in the post. I just tell you, I know he is. You can't come down and tell me after all these years of working hard and getting yourself in position to finally have the upper hand, now you can't get to fight for the distinction that's been your dream, that's been your goal. You set milestones. You've accomplished them all but one. And that's becoming the undisputed at 147. He probably won't get it. All I'm saying is, to me, Al Heyman needs to help him. And they need to figure it out. And with this 60-day window that's coming up, if Crawford is still hanging around, which he should be, but you just don't know what Crawford's going to do because you can't control him. Crawford is a wild man. You cannot control Terrence Crawford. But if he's still floating around and he's open to having a discussion about the undisputed fight between him and Spence, right? They can't let Crawford. They'll lose their right to complain if Crawford weasels out of it again. They got to get, when they get an opportunity to talk to him or his representatives, they got to make the deal sweet. No more of this 70-30, 65-35, 50-50 down the board. Everything 50-50, 50-50, everything. Guarantee, run the numbers. Take the risk on the guarantees. Get them boys their guarantees. Let's make everything split right down the board. Because at the end of the day, Errol Spence needs that dancing partner. Okay? He needs that. And I honestly think if Errol Spence and Crawford don't fight, which I don't think they are, because Al Haymon, the ball's in Al Haymon and Errol Spence's court now. It's not in Terrence Crawford's court. But Terrence Crawford, if the ball comes over his way, he's going to take it and he's going to control it and he's going to run with it. But the ball's in Errol Spence and Haymon's court. They're the ones that got to sit here and stop playing around. We know you. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Errol Spence should be the A side. I think Errol Spence should get 70-30. I'm just being honest with you. But at the end of the day, the point that all of this has reached, this whole thing about A side, 70-30, 65, nah, man. To get the deal done, do it Eddie Hearn. Make sure they can't tell you no, so you can get what you want. That's what I would do. And look, and the way these rules are written, they're so funky. WBO kind of marches to their own. Crawford's he actually has the right belt for him, because the WBO has their own set of rules. They're super funky, right? And Crawford has his own way of doing business. So the WBO suits a guy like Crawford. But in my opinion, Errol Spence and his team and Al Haymon, they can't let Crawford get out of those negotiations. And the way to keep him at that table and to get a wet signature put on those contracts is to make sure they just make everything 50-50. Like, we don't know what the pay-per-view is going to do. But this whole thing about these networks and and Al Haymon and whoever is sitting there trying to convince these guys that they can't give them a guarantee, they're foul, man. You know what? This fight has gained a lot of momentum. Yeah, there's some frustration on a lot of the fans' parts, but they want to see the fight. They need to get these guys their guarantees. It is what it is. All the money that's been made, you're going to get sponsors who come in. You're going to get so many different people in different factions who come in and want to get behind this fight. There's going to be the money there. How much the guarantee should be, I don't know, but I'm thinking at minimum 5. Each of them get a $5 million guarantee, and then they figure out the pay-per-view, the live gate, and any other modes of revenue. You see? They got to figure all that out. But to me, if you just do everything right down the board 50-50, shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem. Let's not let the deal get away anymore, because I don't care what anyone says. I know Al Haymon, man, that man losing his hair and everything, but I know he's pulling that little bit of hair he have on top of his head. I know he's pulling it out. You're looking at Crawford thinking about going up to 154. And you got Jamel out here. Don't know if he's coming or going. You got Jamal. You got supposedly all the rumors, and I don't know if it's true or not, about the money drying up over there at PBC. Al Haymon, all of his fighters aren't getting the fights they want. A lot of guys aren't happy. Adrian Broder coming out kind of airing some of the dirty laundry about money and stuff like that. Deontay Wilder talking in code something about money. Makes you wonder what the hell is going on over there. You know what I'm saying? Makes you wonder. So in my opinion, I think this is an opportunity for Al Haymon, Team Spence, and those guys to really sit back, take a deep breath, blow it out, and say, you know what, going forward, let's just make the fight happen. There's got to be a winner. There's got to be a loser. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's a very competitive fight. I honestly do. before I was saying I think Crawford would win because he fights with his eyes, but I'm not so sure Crawford wins that fight. Just like I'm not so sure Spence is going to win that fight. But I think it's a good fight. It's a 50-50 fight. So they should just make the split down the board for everything 50-50. I wish I had more to give y'all on this guy, Errol Spence, and more and kind of getting a peek behind the tent flaps with him and Al Heyman. But what I will tell you is it doesn't matter if you feel Crawford's to blame, Spencer's to blame, Kinahan's to blame, or whatever you think the problem is. At the point they're at now, they need to come to their senses and make the fight happen, just doing a 50-50 split on everything. If they don't do that, the fight's not going to happen. You got to get Crawford under control, man. That's what makes him dangerous, man. You know what I'm saying? He's just not worried about trying to impress anyone. He's not looking to excessively engage anyone. That's just not his personality, right? And that's what makes Crawford so dangerous. He's not trying to hide who he is. You saw how that man got on Instagram? He didn't care how he looked. He just doesn't care. He understands how people are going to react to him. You think that's something new for Crawford? How people react to him? The way his personality's been like that since he's been a young boy. You know he's been through some stuff, getting shot in the head and everything. So I'm just telling you, no one should be expecting to meet Crawford and all of a sudden develop a long-term friendship with him. Like, he's not that kind of person. You have a very short window of time to try to get something done. And I don't think you can get his trust, but if you can create some understanding with him, then I think success will follow. But at the same time, you may have to go to great lengths to preserve that understanding. And I think by going to 50% split on everything is how you keep that understanding. And then I think through that, you can start to work on the trust with him. And then you can ensure that through that trust that's gained, you can get him into the ring. Because until Crawford gets in that ring, I don't know. I have my own opinion about that, but I think any and everybody around that fight's going to struggle with being confident that Crawford's going to get into that ring. They just have to make sure they're giving that man the respect that he wants and he deserves as a fellow champion with everything he brings to the table. It is what it is at this point, man. Y'all keep cool. Errol Spence, he needs Al to sit down and just find a way to make the fight. Because the longer they go without talking to Crawford, nobody wants to set their pride aside. Everybody wants to sit here. They want to get in this pissing contest. Let me tell you, the further away the fight gets from everybody, and right now that fight is still within reach, but it's gotten quite a distance away from where it should be. They need to find a way to reel it back in. And I think the way to do it is just by these guys swallowing their pride, taking a deep breath, and just saying, look, 50-50 down the board. Something like that to at least get Crawford to turn around and say, what was that? And then come back their direction, and then they can have the talks. And if they can take it from there and tweak it to get it back to that 65-35, 70-30, great. But they got to find a way to get that man back in the negotiating room. Because right now, like I said, Crawford is that guy. He's running around here. He doesn't fear God. He doesn't fear the police. You can't control him. And that's what they're dealing with. Okay? That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I'm in the breeze.